Grüß Gott. White. Gacy Grisquai Kaviniskis. Oki Tensei Teneshe. Bonjour. Bonjour. Hola. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here, watching this waterfall of beautiful humans arrive into this space. Now, because thousands of you want to learn about outdoor learning with us, we are in webinar mode. So, unfortunately, we can't see your beautiful faces, but we see you're here. So, one way you can connect with us is in the chat. You can share. Oh, Nasheen's found us already. Wonderful. So, you can share in the chat that way, and that will come to us. You've got a little blue button there, and it says hosts and panelists or everyone. So you need to be able to click everyone if you want us all to see it. Someone saying that they can't hear. Do people in the room hear me okay? Okay, so friend, you might want to find the little arrow that's next to the audio button in the bottom left of your Zoom screen and change the output to see if you can change the speaker so that we can see you there. You could also find the react button, which is on the bottom toolbar, and you can send us some emojis so we know you're in the room with us, or if you like a certain thing or find something funny, you'll find them there. Okay, beautiful. You've found that. If it helps you to participate more fully, we have closed captions available. So you can find them. Either there's a button that says CC right at the bottom, or it might be more, which is in a white circle with three dots. And you click that and hit show captions. And that should be able to come up in a number of languages for you in a direct kind of AI translation. If there is any way that we can support you in this being more accessible, please write in the chat to myself, Rachel, or Coral, and we will support you as best we can as we progress. For now, we're going to dive into this 60 minutes together, all about learning in the garden. So, this is the first that we're coming into this monthly community gathering with each other, which is just so wonderful. We used to do it seasonally and kind of have these big blocks of intense workshops, but so nice that we can meet once a month and have this continued year-round learning. So the next few coming up, we have May 12th is our next monthly one, which is accessibility and outdoor learning with Julie Nowak, which is going to be a really amazing workshop on how you can make your outdoor learning programming and curriculum more accessible for all the students or all the people within your learning program. But of course, it being us, we do love a little surprise party. And so we're adding in a little additional April party because our great friends Laura McLean and April Pickerainen have written a really beautiful book that's just been published, and they're joined by the fantastic team of Indigenous supporters: Heidi Wood, Leona Prince, Linda Cater, and Judy Halbert, curriculum developers of the highest order, to share about how you can take this with you. So, April 28th, we'd love to have you join us for this little book launch party. Um, this slide should have been at the front, but here it is now. And as we know, when we learn with the land, acknowledging the land first as our greatest teacher is, or for me, my greatest teacher, and for folks, I hope you see her within that. Um, but I join you from Sinaik's territory, and this bit of shimmering water here on the right hand side is Sinquinhuitqua, the Swift River. And she runs right down through the centre of Chuquetmakulu as well. She connects us with resource and story to the Silch Okanagan. And if I follow her upstream, I connect with our Tanaha First Nations too, although they call her Mishgakis, the Chickadee River. And the thing that's showing up, I took this photo the other night. Actually, my grandfather passed on, and this was the evening of that, and the sun was glowing behind the mountains, and it was a beautiful time to share in that. And I'm so grateful for these beautiful teachings that have come on. And in the spring, we look to new life, even when there is loss. And these are the first two flowering, colourful plants that have come out in my yard. these little snowdrops. And I think that's a crocus. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe yes, thank you, our gardening experts. My mum would always definitely be able to tell. But I'm so grateful for this new life, both in the ground and in the people around me that I care so deeply for. And I'm very, very grateful for all of this knowledge and relationship. So before we dive in, I just want to share with you that if you like what we do here, we meet more regularly than once a month, and we come together for 4 part courses. And these are in meeting mode. They're a bit more interactive, and these come with a certificate of completion for your 4 hours of learning. We've got Jacob Rodenberg coming up starting May 6th, which is a year of nature activities. So really hands-on activities based for K to 7 for every single month of the year. Also in May, we have Seeing Ourselves in Nature, where we're talking about stories from educators of children of Indigenous, Black, and other people of the global majority. So, how you can honour them and also the stories of educators within those groups too. In June, we're adopting the benefit of forest schools into your teaching practice. So, whether you run a forest school or whether you want to just bring some of those principles into a more formal education situation, we've got the amazing Erica from the National Outdoor Learning Alliance to share that with us. And in June and into July, we have the amazing Lorna Payne and Sherelle Anderson to share with us how we can connect children to nature through Indigenous teachings. And that's open to all people who teach all children, but just knowing how we can start to embed some of those things within our ways. And now, just for the last time this year, is the most wonderful Rachel Zimmerman who's sharing.
Amazing. Thanks, Jade. Yeah, if you were here at the last virtual session, I'm pretty sure I said my goodbye then, and then the spring schedule came out. I was like, just kidding, one more before I leave. Yeah, if we haven't met before, my name's Rachel. I'm the education coordinate program coordinator with Take Me Outside. And yes, for the last time, I will be joining you tonight as one of your co-hosts. I am going on maternity leave starting next week. So talking about bringing new life and into the world is very, very real for me right now. I'm very, very grateful to be joining you from Treaty One territory, which is the original lands of the Anishinaabe, the Innuak, and the Dakota, and also the national homeland of the Red River Métis. I'm very incredibly grateful for the Indigenous people who have stewarded these lands and waters and continue to do so today. I live very close to the waters of the Red River, and right now the ice is building up and then releasing, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful metaphor for life and how sometimes when you get all that buildup, you just need to like release it and let it go and let it move past. So I've been watching the ice build up very close to my house. Now, also joining us tonight is Coral. And so Coral is the latest member of the TMO team, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. So I'm taking over for Rachel when she goes off on this new amazing chapter of her life to kind of hold down the fort while she's enjoying that piece. So I am the new education program coordinator with Take Me Outside. And I am excited to join you this evening from Robertson Huron Treaty Territory in North Bay, which is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation within the lands of Nipissing First Nation. Um, and we don't have the ice buildup. It's all gone. We had an amazing amount of rain today in North Bay that has kind of washed away everything. So there was a lovely just nature cleansing that kind of cleaned the land, a lovely rainfall. So looking forward to the springy weather that it is bringing with it, and looking forward to joining you all this evening. Thanks.
Amazing. Thanks, Coral. So just a few things from the Take Me Outside front that I wanted to share with you. You probably are aware of our course. If you haven't, you definitely should check it out. Our outdoor learning certification program is a 30-hour asynchronous online course that we offer. We've had over 1,500 educators from around the world participate in this course. It's currently offered for K to 12 educators in both English and French. And we've also recently launched an early years version of the course, designed specifically for early years educators, working with our youngest learners. And so it's all rooted in how to integrate outdoor learning and play into your teaching practice. So Jade's going to pop the chat for those two courses in the chat. Pop those links for those two courses in the chat. As I'm talking here. So yeah, there's the outdoor play and learning course as well. So you can check both of those out. And the last thing I'm just going to share is Take Me Outside last year launched our educator wellness retreats. And so these are restorative gatherings where educators can really focus on reconnecting to the outdoors with nature and themselves and building community and cultivating a new renewed sense of teacher identity. And this is all in order to support teacher health and well-being. So we have retreats happening across Canada throughout 2026, with more being launched and announced throughout the year. So we currently have registration opened for retreats happening in Ontario and Saskatchewan. And you can also join our mailing list to find out when new retreats are happening and if they're happening near you. So Jade's also going to share that link in the chat. And yeah, thanks everybody for all the well wishes. And I definitely will be tuning in as a viewer in the year to come. And thanks, Jade, and I'll hand things back to you.
Thank you for everything you do. You give so much into this world, and I'm so grateful that you're here with us. For some reason, the view is being a bit interesting today, so I'm going to just swap it up there so that everybody can see everybody. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do a really quick poll here, and just to see who's with us. So I'm launching the poll. You should find it on your screen. We've kind of changed a little bit the categories there. So we've changed from specific grades to primary, intermediate, secondary. So somewhere in that K to 3, 4 to 7, 8 and above. And then we have where you're joining us. It's obviously very heavily weighted to Turtle Island or North America, however you would call it. And if you are joining us from somewhere else in the world, please share in the chat, because we don't have enough space, unfortunately. It won't let you type it in there. But we'll just let a few more folks have a chance to fill it in. And then we'll share the results and see who's joining us today. I'm going to keep it open just for 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. My goodness. 5 more seconds. And 3 and a 2 and a 1. Okay, I'm ending the poll. I'm sharing the results with folks. Okay, so lots of early years educators here, but someone from every kind of education that we can think of. And we are represented all across this continent. Nobody in this saying they're from another part of the world. But hey, the news can be heavy. There's layers to the things going on in the world of education, depending where you are, and everywhere, and it seems. And so thank you for being here. Whether you're watching the recording or you're showing up to this live after busy days, after taking care of folks, thank you for being a part of this community. It matters, and when we work together, we can make a real change in the optimism and future. And with saying that, we have a bunch of outdoor learning partners. So if you need support, are you looking for resources or funding, community within a particular place, please check out our partners page, because we've tried to cultivate, and we have over 100 incredible outdoor learning partners, primarily who are non-profit, who can share with us and you their expertise in helping us to do this work. Okay, and now we get to the juicy stuff. Here we go. As we have 3 amazing speakers for you today, I'm very briefly going to introduce them, and then they're going to share their excellent slides with us. But Karine Serre, who is a wonderful colleague and inspiration over many years now, I mean, firstly, a K to 12 teacher who specialises in outdoor learning and Indigenous education, but also has worked as a librarian, curriculum consultant, university instructor. She's an author, a phenomenal parent, mentor, and friend. So I'm very, very pleased that she joins us here. We also have Mary Pascal Brown, who's also um, growing life in the springtime, who is an elementary teacher, who has experience across the provinces. Both Karine and Marie Pascal are bilingual. We are presenting in English today, but their amazing book is available in French also. Marie Pascal focuses on outdoor learning, place-based education, and settings that go across multiple grades. I've seen the passion in workshops that these two have delivered around school gardening and how you can enhance your students' learning experiences that way. Both beautiful women are in BC, and I'm so grateful that you're here with us today. And then we have Noelle Sibolka, who joins us from Kids Gardening and is their educational content and outreach specialist. Noelle helps develop original educational materials, gets their calendar on the go, and supports sharing out about all this amazing work. And if you haven't checked out their website, the link will go in the chat, you'll see how well organized and how resource filled their space is. Noelle just also completed a 4-part gardening course with us, and they have some also on kids gardening that are asynchronous as well. Yes, very excited to have you here joining us from LA. At this point, for now, I will stop sharing and I'll pass it over to you wonderful folks. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jade. It's so nice to hear you introduce us. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to move to the next slide, please. I'm joining you here from the Lekwungen territories, the Songhees and Esquimalt, which is in Victoria, BC. I'm very lucky to be able to garden all year round. And yeah, I'm not going to go on more. Jade did an awesome job. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Jade, for the beautiful introductions. I'm joining you today from Ktunaxa territory in Kimberley, and yeah, I think you said it all. We can move on to the next slide when you're ready.
So Marie Pascal and I decided to write our book because we love being outside with our students. We love how we feel when we're outside. So a lot of our experience has been wonderful, and this is why we're so passionate about spending time in the garden. And as you may know, spending time touching soil rises your levels of serotonin, which gives you, it's your happy hormone, so it makes you even happier being outside. But it's also the sense of belonging and community that creates with our students, and the sense of purpose and the joy they get from growing things and then eating them and sharing that. And usually they become like teachers to their parents as well. Marie Pascal has shared many times with me that she's like, my students, the parents, they follow our schedule and how we do things at school. And yeah, so this is a wonderful way of spending your time. And yeah, next one. And before you get started in your garden to teach, you need to set up your space. I'm not going to go into a lot of details here, but these are the things you need to consider, like finding your space, your budgeting, planning, tending, who's going to take care of it when you're not there on school holidays, and harvesting. And Noelle and Kids Gardening have a lot of resources on their website for that. We also have a section in our book if you want to look at it. But today we really want to focus on teaching in the school garden.
So these are just to start with, just a few things that we use in our classrooms to get started, or maybe some of you don't have a garden outside and you would like to still garden with your students, and this is a great way to do it from inside. If you're like me, in Kimberley, we have a very short growing season, so we have no other choice than start inside and then transplant outside when weather is warmer, which is usually last week of school in June. So a few things we use is to get organized and so it doesn't get too messy. An indoor greenhouse is awesome. So you have everything in the same space. There's still a bit of mess everywhere, but it's easier to contain and easier to clean. And you can easily attach growing lights and timers to make it kind of self-sustaining. Because we know we're all very busy. So sometimes we forget to water. Well, you still need to water, but timers for the lights and everything is very handy. Something else that we like for busy educators, and if you do forget to water, I like to use the second picture there, the little seed starter trays. I usually use them for spring vegetables or lettuce, spinach, all that kind of greens. And what's wonderful is in the black, there's a black container on the bottom where you add your water. And there's another tray where you plant your seeds, and you put the tray with seeds inside the black container, and it's self-watering for a few weeks anyway. And another thing we like to use in our classroom is a tower garden. This is a great way to be able to grow all year round. Kids can try to plant a few things like flowers, lettuce, spinach, again, are great picks for this kind of garden. But you can really try different things with your students and see what works. It can become a wonderful jungle garden. So yeah, those are just little things that you might want to try inside your classroom, especially if you don't have a very long growing season, or if you don't have a garden at all and you want to keep it inside.
Yeah, it also can become a snacking tower.
Oh yeah.
Kids just walk by and have a snack. Yeah. And one of my favorite new things is growing tea trios or any kind of tea mixes in small pots. So it's so much fun, and it grows quickly. And my favorite one's been mint, lemon balm, and chamomile. And so you grow it, you harvest it, you can make your tea with fresh leaves, or you can dry it too, and then have a little tea station in your classroom. And then you can have these nice moments where you can sit in a circle and have chats, while drinking your teas. So something quick and easy and fun to start with.
Yeah, and Corinne's tea are always delicious. So definitely recommend. Something else that's fun to plant with your students is a Three Sisters garden. This growing technique comes from First Nations out east, especially in, I hope I'll pronounce it right, Haudenosaunee Nation. And so it's a growing technique where each plant are interconnected, so they all help each other grow. And I feel like it's such a great connection to do well with companion planting, but also with your social study and sense of community. So lots of resources online, lots of different story picture books for kids, or even videos if you want to watch. This is another great thing to start in your garden. It doesn't do well inside, so you do need an outdoor space. If you're looking for quicker things to grow, something that you can pick before you go for school holidays, spring veggies are always a hit. We're talking about veggies that are good to grow in cold temperatures. They resist, well, cold, I mean, not freezing temperatures, but they don't mind the cold as much as other plants. We're talking about radishes, lettuce, spinach, kale, and they grow super quick, and students get to eat them before the end of the year. And you don't have a garden to take care of in the summer.
The next thing I wanted to touch on is, before you go outside, it's nice to have be organized and have all your resources. My favorite way was to get a wagon, so a really sturdy wagon, and have everything organized in it, so that and it could be spontaneous too. Sometimes we could go do this in the garden, and you just grab your wagon, and you go, and the kids love to be in charge of the wagon and organize it. So it's another lovely side to it. And in it, I would have some field guides about birds, plants, and trees from around, basic learning supplies like clipboards. Clipboards are great outside. The nature journals, we highly recommend all your kids have a nature journal. It's actually the first lesson in our book. And there's wonderful resources if you want to teach kids how to do nature journaling. Bunch of writing tools, and then gardening tools, obviously, spades, gloves, and things like that, measuring tapes and rulers. And for assessment, like cameras and tablets and phones, so you can take pictures or record or do videos of your kids learning. And art supplies, watercolors, paintbrushes, and little containers for water. Tissues, always important. First aid kit and EpiPens, and walkie-talkie or phone, depending on how you communicate with the office at school if you have an emergency or anything. And then
We can move on yet to the next slide. Your students can also have individual kits, and I mean that's good for any kind of outdoor education, not just for gardening, but anything. Every time you go outside, they grab their bag. Some people call them go bags. This is just a little, you have a photo on the screen, it's just a little example of what my students have. We did upgrade the backpack this year to one with straps, so when we go on hikes, they can still bring it. It's a little more comfortable than the one you see on the photo. But yeah, so in the go bag, we just put like clipboard. My students keep their journal in their own backpack. There's Kleenex, little gloves for winter. There's a chalkboard, a little tiny chalkboard, laminated paper, and a pencil case with all kind of writing stuff. And then students, when we work in the garden, bring their water bottles, hats, sunscreen, super important, and snacks if they need. Yeah.
And if you want to go to, so next part, we wanted to just give you an idea of a few lessons we do in the garden. So on the next slide, you'll see we've organized all our lessons with curriculum objectives, materials we need. So when you plan to go outside, think about all these things. We love using stories or books to spark interest and introduce a new lesson or a new concept. And the activity that we're going to do outside, and then something to do with the older kids or kids are more advanced in gardening, and assessment, because we know we need to assess, unfortunately.
So we'll show you a few lessons from our book in different subjects, just to give you inspiration, and maybe you want to try it tomorrow or in the next few weeks. So this is one of the last lessons in our book. It's called Story Workshop in the Garden. Some of you might already be familiar with Story Workshop in the classroom, or maybe even outside. So you can absolutely do it in the garden. Again, just you don't really need any material, anything that your students find outside, like little bits of wood chips, sticks, little rocks, leaves, maybe even part of plants that fell on the ground, or any harvested plants that you're not going to be using. You can also bring loose parts from inside the classroom outside. So very minimal material you need to do this. Outside, when we work on Story Workshop, most of the time we'll read a book just to spark interest, like Karine said. There's a few pictures of storybooks that are great for the garden. Sometimes we'll also use some prompts, especially for students who have no ideas, or, we always have one or two that don't know what to write, they don't have inspiration. So sometimes, maybe not always, but sometimes you can ask them, oh, what happens in the garden at night? Or is there somebody special here, whether it's an insect or a fairy, whoever, a little animal, they can create something. So yeah, once they have an inspiration, they start and they will just use whatever materials they have on hand. Can you hear me fine? I think
Yeah,
my
it's cutting off a bit.
computer froze. Okay. So yeah, so they can, maybe with a partner, they can just make up a story, use the little wood sticks or leaves as characters and start telling a story. And you can help them with the structure of the story. Once they're happy with their story, they can present it to another team, present it to you as as the teacher. And what I like to do is take pictures so students don't forget their stories. Then on another day, they can write.
Maybe I can carry on until she gets back. The idea really is to get them to play, to get inspired, and then to write their stories. They can write their stories in the garden, but they can also write them in the classroom when they go back. And I've done this with kids in grade 8. Like it's not just with the little kids. Sometimes we think, oh, it could just be with the little kids, but I've done it with kids of all ages. It's really fun. Yeah. And then next part I think was math. So numeracy in the garden. There's so many opportunities to do numeracy in the garden, and our lesson about harvest math. Is she back? Marie-Pascale, are you back? No? Okay. It's all about estimating, measuring, comparing, and counting. So you can bring all sorts of tools outside, like bucket balance and platform scales. Do you want to carry on?
Back.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry, the internet completely went. I was like, no.
I was just talking about the tools if you want to carry on.
Yes. So yes, I heard you say bucket balance, platform scales, cubes, or any kind of math manipulatives you might have, especially for younger grades, and something to harvest, whether it's scissors or whatever you use to harvest. So that math is actually my favorite thing to teach in the garden because there's so many possibilities. But when you harvest, some of the really fun things to do with students is estimating how many green beans will be picked today on this one stalk, or how many, when you have your whole harvest, how many do you think there is? And students get to estimate, and then we can count them. Maybe we make packs of 5 or 10, and we practice skip counting, measuring, like maybe we're measuring with our body parts. Maybe we're using little cubes or rulers. Weighing, and weighing is super fun for kids, especially with the platform, the bucket balance that you see the first picture on the bottom, because you get to compare. Either here we had the biggest Italian tomato we picked in our garden, and we wanted to know how many green beans it would take to be equal, to weigh the same. We also love to do like Karen, maybe you can help me. How do you call that? The second photo, we put them in, from the smallest.
Ordering, you mean ordering sizes? Yeah.
Yeah. Or just adding and subtracting and multiplying. The options are endless, and students just love it. There's also a few books, picture books on, especially the first one, Pick a Circle, Gather Squares, is a picture book about shapes. So maybe you want to work on shapes and with your harvest, which is great. And you can sort it by shape or by color or by weight or whatever you want to do. Just be creative and have fun outside. Something else you can do related to math and harvest is cooking. Personally, what I love cooking with kids is anything to do with tomatoes. So tomato sauce, pizza sauce, salsa, and it's always fun for the kids to taste something that's homemade with veggies from the garden, or create art with your harvest or with the bits of the plant that you won't eat. Make art.
And then science in the garden. One of our favorite lessons is who lives in the garden, and then do an inquiry about who lives in the garden and talking about living and non-living things. And I've put non-living things, non-living in brackets, because if you think of indigenous cultures, rocks are living things. So having this discussion with our students, what makes a living thing? What isn't a living thing? Very interesting discussions you can have. And using field guides and all sorts of tools, you can investigate what's in your garden and have a discussion as well of what is a home and what makes a home. And yeah, using your nature journal, they collect some data, write down their questioning, and try and find the answers. And sometimes we need to continue the learning in the classroom. That's something we do, like we'll start in the garden and continue in the classroom. And these are our favorite animal tracks as well, like doing all sorts of science investigation about animal tracks is a lot of fun, especially in the winter too, when you can still be in your garden in the winter and look at different things. For social studies, if we want to move to the next slide, social studies in the garden, invasive and native species, and talk about interdependence and community, and not just in the garden, but in society and in the classroom. And one of my favorite topics are, what are weeds? And are weeds really bad? And why do we call them weeds? And for example, the dandelion has some very interesting properties. Like some people say it could cure cancer if we really looked into it. So having all these discussions. And so we suggest referring to your local provincial or state groups that deal with invasive species and look for guides. And they can sometimes come into your classroom and teach kids how to get rid of invasive species safely, and then create some informational cards or wanted posters of things that are wanted. And you can organize a weed pull, and after you've pulled all the weeds or the invasive species, you can revitalize your garden and plant native species and talk about the gifts of the plants. So what is this gift and why would I choose this plant? So many opportunities and fun activities you can do. And assessment. So assessment's also something that's always on the back of our minds. And I don't know if you've had administrators, but I've had administrators. What are you doing outside? Are you really teaching? And what are they learning? So I had to come up with sure ways to show them, look what my kids can do. And nature journaling is one big part of it. Like, I love it. And it shows really their growth throughout the year. Videos, photos, and photos of small whiteboards, like I talked about earlier, observations and notes of what the kids are doing, just writing down my own notes, recording discussions and conversations with the teacher or amongst themselves. And then they can do little presentations or projects like maps, posters, and models and text. So these are all different ways. And so this is just a quick snapshot of an overview of our book. In the book, we have each lesson we've designed so that you can know if it's a long-term project, 1 hour or half a day, and then every part, like the objectives, the tools you'll need, the activity itself, how you can push the lesson for children that are more advanced or for older kids. And we included companion books for every lesson. So if you're looking for books to go with your lesson, and in some lessons, we also found some companion books for teachers, so resources for you to learn some more. And
yes, and so we made, to go with our book, we made a little gardening calendar just to help you use our book, especially if you don't really know where to start, what lesson to teach when. Obviously, some of the lessons, it depends where you are and how long or short your growing season is, but we try to make it as universal as possible. So it gives you an idea for each month of the year what lesson you could teach. So it allows you to work in the garden all year round and to have something that you can teach, and it's already planned for you. So I think Jade will send a link to that with the recording and everything else tomorrow.
Yeah, and the book is for grade kindergarten to grade or preschool even to grade 6,
Yeah.
but it can be easily adapted for older kids. Lots to learn and do. And here's how to contact us, and I think Jade will share that with you as well in an email. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Karine and Marie Pascal. That was so fantastic. I create garden education material for a living, and I've gotten ideas from you in the past 20 minutes. They're just so creative, and I love the book connections. I love the wanted posters for invasive species. That's so adorable. Ah, I am going to get through, I think, mine a little as quickly as I can. We are Kids Gardening. We are a nonprofit organization that is based in Vermont, but we are 6 people who live all over the United States. I myself am in Pasadena, California, so I'm our most West Coast representative, but also bringing a lot of love for the Pacific because I grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii, and am constantly coming from a much warmer climate sort of garden perspective, and have learned so much from my more northern garden pals in this industry. It's really incredible just how much variety there is in what a school year might look like for you, where you're teaching and where you're located. So we try to offer as broad a swath of materials for people as possible. We believe every child should have the opportunity to grow and learn in the garden, and that's what really informs the resources that we create. And I have been in informal education for many years, working in museums and natural history, science content, art content. So I really want to thank all of you for being here today and being interested in giving this gift of outdoor and garden learning to kids. The benefits are numerous. They have been studied. They are visible to you when you really get your hands in the dirt with them and get them outside learning all sorts of topics. It just improves things for them across the board, and we're really happy that you're interested in this. Kids Gardening offers 3 buckets of resources for you. We offer garden grants that are mainly for folks who are in the 50 United States, but we do also have a huge page on our website with lots of other grant opportunities outside of the 4 that we offer during the year. So if you're looking for funding to get started with a youth garden, not only in schools, but in many other settings as well, you can find resources for that there. We offer a whole bunch of educational resources that I'll give you just a little rundown of on the next slides. But we also host the Kids Garden Community, which is an online resource for garden educators, caregivers, anyone who gardens with kids, who wants to commune with others who do this work and ask questions, get ideas, find folks who are doing this near you. And it is worldwide. So you are putting in really just your location and seeing if there's anyone else who's registered on the community near you. We are generally more North American membership, but it is free to join, and a really great way to just get some support from people who are doing this with you. Our educational resources are digital. We have activities, lesson plans, how-to articles, a lot that Karine mentioned, a lot of getting started material for you if you're looking for landscape design, program design. Just a lot of support, growing guides for specific popular youth gardening plants. If you're a little bit green to gardening, it can be helpful. And then we have newsletters that you can sign up for that go out twice a month for our Kids Garden News. Our activity e-kit goes out once a month. They are really just nice roundups in your inbox to keep you thinking about what's seasonal, what opportunities are happening for learning or for funding, what activities might be really great right now with our season that we're in. We do host webinars, and we have some online courses as well. And we are book publishers. So we do also have some books for sale on our website, This is what our website homepage looks like. But we do offer 2 books through the Outdoor Learning Store as well that I will mention. This is what our activities page looks like. And I just like to show a screenshot of this because if you land on kidsgardening.org and you find the activities page, we have this really amazing filter resource. So you can go in for content type, for topic, for grade, for season, indoor or outdoor, and you can get a roundup of all of our resources, not just activities, but across all of the categories for that specific filter that you're looking for. So it makes going through our hundreds of resources very easy for you. If you're looking for something on pollinators, it will pull up both lesson plans, activities, and articles about pollinators for you to take a look at. If you're looking for early childhood resources, it will pull those together for you. So I like to draw attention to that. We have a lot on our site and folks don't see that right away sometimes. Another example, our lesson plan page, you can see that each of our lesson plans is its own icon and takes you in. They have our grade levels written there so you can get an idea of what range each lesson might be really good for, but we cover all sorts of topics like you can see, thinking about the hardiness zones that the USDA designates for the United States. What goes into that? How do you determine a hardiness zone? What zone are you in? Letting kids explore their own planting seasons. Creating a wax museum of garden heroes, more social studies focused. Ladybug life cycles biology, youth mentorship. It really runs the gambit. So I encourage folks to just get on our website and sort of scroll through and see what kinds of ideas might be a good fit for you. And then we do have, again, a lot of how-to articles. Digging Deepers are what we call just fun reading for folks. They tend to pair with one of our lesson plans and be a deep dive on a specific horticultural topic that maybe is something you're not too familiar with and want to get familiar with before talking about it with your kids. But I find a lot of teaching inspiration in those garden guides, toolkits. So much garden stories are articles about programs that we wanted to lift up their work, and you can get a sense of how a really successful school or youth garden is structured, what sorts of features they have. It really helps to get an idea of what a whole scope program might look like in a school like yours or a program like yours. I have a QR code there, a whole library of webinars that are free to access that we have cultivated since 2020, I want to say. Like many, we didn't really get started with these until we were locked indoors. Get the garden folks online once we were locked indoors. But it has been a really wonderful learning experience for us, and we're so happy that we've been able to connect like we are right now with so many garden educators across North America and dive into some really cool topics. And then we have our books. So we have over 10 books that have been published since we were founded in the 1980s. But two of my very favorites are for sale with Outdoor Learning Store. If you are in Canada, buy them through our wonderful partner, Outdoor Learning Store. You will get the best shipping rate. We unfortunately have a very clunky international shipping rate. But if you are in the States, you can also purchase them from us or from many other booksellers in the States. Request them at your libraries. They are really great educational resources. My favorite is Math in the Garden. Like you, Marie-Pascale, I love Math in the Garden. It was always my favorite topic to teach when I was teaching elementary garden classes for a couple of years. So we've got a QR code there for our books directly. But Sowing the Seeds of Wonder is a beautiful book that is entirely focused on early childhood. So I know we had a big swath of early childhood educators here today. These are activities set up for early childhood from the experts at the Life Lab Learning Garden in Santa Cruz, California. It's a really beautiful book and helps to get things really perfectly on their level, perfectly safe for their developmental level, and really setting them up for lots of lifelong learning. We have some online courses, including one that supports our Math in the Garden book. So I just want to plug that we, for you specifically today, are offering 20% off of the Math in the Garden e-course. And it was developed with a professor at Elon University in North Carolina who teaches teachers how to teach math. And that is really the focus of the course. Our Math in the Garden book is full of activities to do in the garden, and they are accessible to anyone, regardless of if you're a formal educator or not. I am not, and I could do any of the ones in our books. They're written wonderfully. But this course is designed for folks who might not have that formal teaching education, or who might have it, but aren't as comfortable teaching outside. That is Katie Baker, the professor who helped us. That's her specialty, is taking math education outdoors. So she was the perfect partner for this, but it's asynchronous and gets you through 4 sessions of really getting your chops ready for teaching math, if that's not familiar to you, with different teaching tools, but also thinking through how to do activities from the book outdoors really efficiently using these tools. It's very cool. It will be in your follow-up email if you're interested in checking it out, maybe using that discount code. So connecting to math, I think my partners in this webinar covered this already in a really lovely way, but there are so many connections. There is practical real life connection to math, which can be really abstract for kids sometimes. And so connecting it through how measuring growth rates of plants, collecting data, how many seeds are in a tomato, recreating a graph from that. Developing a planting schedule requires a lot of addition and subtraction and figuring out your ranges of dates. Designing a garden to scale is full geometry. I mean, it's really, there's so many wonderful connections. For each, I'm also going to move through topics pretty quickly, but these slides will be given to you. Each of these is a hyperlink to some of my favorite activities, articles, and lesson plans connected. So Plant Math Fun, Weighing the Waste, Room to Grow, just using seeds and planting them too closely together or nice and far apart, figuring out how to actually measure the box of space that they need, or measuring in square foot salad garden terms, you know, giving an actual square foot and figuring out how many of a certain type of plant fits in that square foot. There are so many connections. And Math in the Garden is a really, really great place to start if you're interested in doing Math in the Garden. It has many activities. It was developed with experts from the California Botanical Garden and the Lawrence Hall of Science, and was tested at many schools before we finally published it. So it is just my go-to personally. And it really is organized similarly to our little search tool. You can figure out which bucket of math you want to go for. It's really good for ages 5 to 13, but I have been able to expand it for both older and younger as well. And this Learning in the Garden webinar, that the version we did last year in 2025, is watchable still at this link, and deep dives into Math in the Garden and great math lesson ideas, like how many seeds in a tomato, which is in the book and really focuses highly on estimation. So getting kids to measure their tomato, estimate how many seeds are inside, compare the number of seeds in very similarly sized tomatoes to one another, usually being shocked that there might be more or less in the same size tomato and guessing about why that is. Finding the range of the lowest amount of seeds in a tomato to the highest amount of seeds in a tomato, finding the average of those. It's a really beautiful lesson plan just to give you a sense of what one of them in the book might look like. Flowers, graph and graph again, observing lots of flowers in the garden and graphing them in very concrete ways. This one has 5 petals, so does this one. These ones have 6 petals, or by color, or by size. And then getting into those more abstract graphs, bar graphs, pictorial graphs. So really lovely way to use flowers and do graphing outside. There are lots of science connections. I am looking at our time and realizing we are pretty close to the top of the hour. So just reiterating how many beautiful connections there are with science in the garden. And some of my favorite lessons that we have for free on our site are Journey to the Center of the Seed, actually dissecting seeds, figuring out what is inside of a seed and why, to bring life out of a seed, what a plant leaves for its followers, or it's following plants. Petal attraction, how flowers are designed to attract pollinators. That soil is alive. What is actually in soil? It is a living thing. Classroom hydroponics, ladybug life cycles, really fabulous lessons. English language, I feel like my partners did a beautiful job of connecting to books, but books are such a great entry point for so many kids. You can theme an entire garden bed around your favorite garden book and grow all the plants in it together. You can research planting instructions and informational texts together to really get those skills going and have kids document their gardening journey through journaling, create poetry, present their learnings to each other in presentations and preparing for those. There are so many really good connections. We have a book titled Books in Bloom that is organized by book title to have corresponding activities that are really, really fun to do. And again, some really great resources like growing poems and object-based storytelling, which I realized is a really similar idea with you guys, where they find an object in the garden and create a story about how it got there, and it's so much fun. This field journal link is an activity for creating your own field journal out of just printer paper and string. So I like to share that, especially if you are working with after school or in camps and you want to keep, or in classrooms and you want to keep materials costs low. It's a really fun activity for kids to make a pretty sturdy little journal with you. And connecting to history and social studies, I think that there is such an incredible connection between historical events and plants and how they were shaped, studying that plants don't often come from where we are growing and eating them, and what that journey was like. How did they get brought to the place where we are growing and eating them? Were they grown in a different way by the people who grew in the place where they are originated from? How have those agricultural practices changed, and why? Are they necessarily the best way of growing that plant or not? What can we learn from traditional horticulture? Deciding together what to vote on, and as far as the future of your garden, what you're going to grow together. What are your garden rules? Getting kids really involved in voting and developing their own sense of government and participation in that is a really cool thing that you can do with your garden. We have a number of resources to support you with that, including, I just want to call out Celebrating Cultural Inclusion in the Garden, which is an e-course that is free, developed with 18 educators across the country, and dives into real geographical sort of regions of culture and plants you can grow in your garden to engage with those cultures and all of that history. Really, really fun way to look in. We're getting close to the hour. I'm getting a little woo. So connecting to the arts, so many visual arts, so many performing arts that you can engage kids with. I have done lots of bee dances, having kids really get out and mime and stretch the journey of a seed and a plant life cycle, making skits based on characters in the garden and that ecological relationships that they find in the garden. Acting those out is also a really fun and not as oftenly thought of art expression with garden learning. So we have some resources for you, like photography, using, those visual and tactile arts, like creating pressed flowers to make a number of different crafts, garden-inspired performance lesson plan as well to get you into that if you're interested. And then thinking through health and nutrition, there is so much learning that kids can have surrounding cooking, surrounding nutrition by growing their own fruits and veggies and getting curious about that. But most importantly, I think to me as an informal educator and as a parent is the social emotional learning that kids experience in the garden. They experience failure, they experience setbacks, and learning resilience when plants don't grow as big or as fruitful as they'd hoped, or get attacked by an animal that wants to eat them, or get picked by a classmate before they're ready. There's so many experiences where they overcome challenges and emotional challenges with gardening. I think if you're an adult who has gardened, you also know this. But also just teamwork, sharing limited resources, communication. There's just so many beautiful social emotional benefits to gardening, and you can theme entire lessons around doing that together as a group of kids. more resources for you along those lines. And right here, I have a QR code for you that will take you to the sign up for our newsletters, which is just a really direct way to get involved with us and get some of our ideas and opportunities sent straight to your inbox a couple times a month and keep up with new things we're releasing. And a link there for you for the Kids Garden community, should you want to join that social network that we host. And a link to our online e-course page if you would like to sign up for Math in the Garden with that discount code, which is we're going to keep live until April 24th. So you have all of next week to use that as well if you'd like to. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for having me and sharing a bit about what we offer. I will stop sharing the screen now.
Thank you so much, Joelle. So many beautiful resources, and Karine and Mary Pascal. The way you speak about gardening, there were lots of comments coming in about like so many incredible resources, but also just like a very warm, calm, caring space. And I feel like because of the speed, right? There are some things that grow fast, but there's still this pace that you have to set. You have to return. You have to come back to the same place. And I feel like that's the nervous systems of all humans need that now. So I'm so grateful you've reminded me of some things. And that tea idea is, I'm in there. Beautiful offerings. Thank you so much. We had a couple of questions come in, but I think they're questions that folks can find online. So I'm going to honor the time and just all of your acknowledge here. But all of those books are available. You'll get a follow-up email tomorrow, friends. Links to the resources, links to this recording, links to the slides if they're all shared, links to that lovely gardening calendar, and you can find it all there, and it will be available for you to access at all times. And for now, I'm going to say thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. My heart is so full, and you've got me thinking. And I hope everyone can go out and plant, and whether it's in pots or in yogurt pots on a windowsill, or if you have a big space, all of that matters, and it's beautiful. Before we go, we're just going to do a couple of prizes, friends. My presenters, please feel free to take your leave and go, and as I do our little roulette of folks. Okay, we have 4 gifts to give. We have 2 gift cards to the Outdoor Learning School and Store, which you could use to put towards one of these lovely resources. And so our winners are Sandy Carter. Sandy Carter, you are our first winner, and we will email you. Don't worry, you don't have to send us anything right now. Our second winner is Alondria Owens. I'm going to spell that for you. Alondria. Alondria Owens. You are our second winner. And our next 2 gifts are 2 gift cards to the Take Me Outside store. So our first winner is Whitney Pregent. Whitney Pregent, peut-être. Je sais pas. I'm never quite sure if I say these right, but I'm mean it with all the best intentions. And our fourth and final winner is Peyton Lyons. Paytonlyons. You're our fourth and final winner for today. So friends, April 28th, we're back to learn with the land. And then May the 12th, we're here to talk about accessibility and outdoor learning. Thank you again to our incredible presenters, to Rachel and Coral for your behind the scenes work, and wishing you all a beautiful, healthy, happy, well-loved spring. Thank you. Goodbye.